Hi, welcome to Building Bridges. My name is Joe. Today we are going to touch on a subject that kind of came across me. There was a sign in town. It said something in the lines of, for those Christians who have overcome the test. And we wonder what that test is, right? What test do Christians overcome? And, I don't know about you, but I'm not much of a test taker. I was horrible at tests. So, anytime that's come up in front of me, I struggle. But, they happen in life. And it's a matter of us looking at the tests and either struggling with them or taking that test, put everything we can in that test, and when we get our results, what do we do with the results? Do we call ourselves defeated, give up? Or do we take that test and say, okay, these are my areas in which I need to work on? I have taken some pretty tough tests at times. Tests that I couldn't really give up on. When I was testing for my 4th degree black belt, I had to know a whole bunch of katas, and it's a 2-day test. I'm doing my forms, my katas, my weapons, everything that I need to know. And I'm displaying these things in front of my instructor to show her that I know what I need to know for the rank that I'm trying to go for. And you're nervous for those tests. You don't want to screw up. You really want to be on point and show your best form in that test. The second half is the most grueling part of that test, and that's the fighting test. You fight for close to an hour, non-stop, no break. You fight 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 4-on-1, until basically they're trying to break you. They're trying to completely defeat you to where you're ready to give up. And that is where our endurance, our perseverance is really shown. The character of ourselves really gets drawn out into the forefront. Okay? And I know to hear, perhaps, God testing us. Why would God do that? For the same reason that I had to test for my 4th degree black belt. We got to show improvement, right? And we got to be put in situations, albeit not always pleasant, and not always the predicament that we want to be in. But we got to kind of show our true colors in those moments, right? Are we going to fall back on our old ways? Or are we going to take the step forward into the new way that Christ has shown us? The other thing is, our God is an amazing God. He's willing to allow us to test Him. A good example of that, I'm doing this plan, and it's covering Gideon. So we're going to look at Judges 6, verses 33 to 40. All right? So here we go. Soon afterward, the armies of Midian, Amalek, and the people of the east formed an alliance against Israel and crossed the Jordan, camping in the valley of Jezreel. Then the Spirit of the Lord took possession of Gideon. He blew a ram's horn as a call to arms, and the men of the clan of Abiezer came to him. He also sent messengers throughout Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, summoning their warriors, and all of them responded. Then Gideon said to God, "If you are truly going to use me to rescue Israel, as you promised, prove it to me in this way. I will put a wool fleece on the threshing floor tonight. If the fleece is wet with dew in the morning, but the ground is dry, then I will know that you are going to help me rescue Israel as you promised." And that is just what happened. When Gideon got up early the next morning, he squeezed the fleece and wrung out a whole bowlful of water. Then Gideon said to God, "Please don't be angry with me, but let me make one more request. Let me use the fleece for one more test. This time, let the fleece remain dry while the ground around it is wet with dew." So that night, God did as Gideon asked. The fleece was dry in the morning, but the ground was covered with dew. What a great example here. You have Gideon. He's kind of the least of the crew, not really looked up to or anything like that. And you have God coming to Gideon and saying, "You're my man. You are the one that I need to step up and to conquer all these tribes that are trying to attack you." And Gideon's no different than us. Right? We are going to ask and go, "Man, this could be a little voice in my head that I'm just making up. If this is really you, give me some kind of a sign that I can't miss." And of course, that sign isn't good enough. We always have to have a double check, just to reassure, make sure we're not missing anything. And isn't it great that God is willing to go through this procedure to give Gideon this reassurance that he is truly with him through this process? Now, what does this look like in the real world? What does this look like nowadays? Boy, it's tough. I can't tell you. I've honestly asked God to give me dew in one area and not dew in another, or have these physical signs that God is by me. But God has done enough in my life that I can't not see him, if that makes any sense. And I'm tested every day by my wife, my co-workers, by myself, by life in general. Sometimes I do good on tests. Sometimes I pass. Sometimes I fail. And I have to retake the test, right? Am I willing to take the test again to make the improvements that I was shortcoming into? This is a tough video for me to do. This stuff is not easy to walk through, It's not easy to find joy, as James says to do, all the time. Some of these tests that we are put into are pretty hard, pretty deep and hard, really hard to get through. And, you know, we work really long hours and we have life going on. And those are the moments when we are the weakest. But those are the moments in which we are going to be tested the most. And I encourage you, for anybody who is going through anything, to take a deep breath. Look in your past experiences. Reflect on things that perhaps you looked like you were in a pickle and there became an answer, one way or the other. And those answers that came to you absolutely could have came from nowhere. Totally unexplainable answers. Those are what you should build your faith on. Those are what's going to get you through the tests that we will go through as we go through them now. And I tell you what, if I can survive the onslaught of a 4th degree black belt test, which I tell you what, it was hot, I was gassed, they still kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. But I fixed my gi, I stood back up, and I continued until the clock stopped. And what a victory at the end. I know a black belt test is nothing compared to what the test of life is, but those experiences help build us to be stronger, more capable, and give us the endurance that we need to walk this path of being a Christ follower. I thank you. You guys have a blessed day.